Okay, so I read an interesting article in Variety that basically talks about kind of what the future of the DC movies are, or what it's basically going to be. Um, and it's a pretty interesting article. I'd recommend you read it. But there was like one specific bit of it that I wanted to talk about for this video, and that's the notion that Matt Reeves' Batman movie could potentially have spin-off movies from that movie if it's successful. So I'll read the bit that kind of piqued my interest, you could say. The bit is that if the movie works, Warner Brothers and DC believe that any of these villains, the villains that would be appearing in the movie, of course, could headline their own spin-off movies. Key cast members in both The Batman and Birds of Prey have contract options to appear in sequels and standalone films. That's interesting. And so that's interesting because, first of all, obviously one of the bigger questions surrounding this Matt Reeves Batman movie is whether or not it was going to be a part of the DCEU or if it was going to be like its own like standalone franchise. And the notion of like having spin-off characters from that is from that franchise would be weird because like would there then be two DC cinematic universes going on at once? Like, would there be the DCEU, and then would there be like the Batman EU, the Batman extended universe, where we have a Riddler spin-off movie and a Penguin spin-off movie and a Catwoman spin-off movie? That would just be bizarre and weird, and I would not like it. I would not like that. That just sounds weird to me. But then there's the other option is that, hey, it's all connected. It's the DCEU, right? And if that's the case, then it's definitely gonna be weird that they just retcon they just retcon out the Ben Affleck Batman. I mean, obviously he's not gonna come back to play him, but it would definitely just be weird to have for them to just be like, hey, yeah, the Ben Affleck Batman? Ben Affleck Batman? What are you talking about, Ben Affleck Batman? I don't know Ben Affleck. What are you talking about, Ben Affleck? You're talking about the guy who's Manchester by the Sea? That Affleck? Are you talking about that guy? No, wait, what? Oh, no, his name is Casey Affleck? Wait, what do you mean? Who's Ben Affleck? I don't know Ben Affleck. You know, it'll be weird if they just do that. It'd be like, that guy was never in this. What are you talking about? Robert Pattinson. He's always been the Batman. This is the Batman. What are you talking about? You know, like, are they gonna do that? I don't know. But I mean, honestly, so there's like my OCD problem with it, but that would be my OCD problem with it. Like I don't necessarily like in reality, I don't necessarily object to them just doing that because you know, you have successes with like Wonder Woman and like Aquaman and stuff. So it would make sense if you're not going to get back Ben Affleck to just say, yeah, whatever, this is the new Batman. So if they do end up doing that, then I would understand it. Part of me would kind of not like it just because that just messes with me. Like the OCD part of myself would be like, and by the way, I don't have OCD. I'm just kind of saying that, but like that that would just bother me. But then what would also bother me would be if they do the other thing where they just have two cinematic universes going on at the same time. And I mean, obviously we kind of have that with Marvel, right? We had like the MCU and the X-Men universe, and then we had the Venomverse right now, which is so it's not like it doesn't happen, but it's weird for it to happen with like with within the same company, right? There's also the thing of like, of course, we just had Joker, which isn't connected, but that's a different thing, right? That's just a standalone movie. That's not like its own cinematic universe. This Batman situation would be like a separate cinematic universe. So, the article also goes on to talk about how DC and Warner Brothers, they don't really know what they want to do with Superman as well. So, I mean, honestly, the way that they talk about it, it kind of looks like they're also done with Henry Cavill, pretty much. Which also leads me to think, like, okay, so at some point they're gonna bring back Superman. Like, they're not just gonna let that character lie dormant, I don't think. Like, when they bring that character back, are they just gonna be like, Harry Cavill? Who's Harry Cavill? I don't know Harry Cavill. Harry Cavill? Cavillo? What? I don't know what that is. What you talking about? What? He was never Superman? What are you talking about? He was never Superman? I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, are they just gonna pretend that he never existed as well? It's a weird situation, and I don't envy them, because it's just a weird situation, right? How, like, if it's all connected, they're just kind of like picking and choosing what they want from the old universe and tossing aside what they don't want. Like, you'd have to assume that, like, at some point, if they decided to have Matt Reeves as Batman in the DCEU, that he's gonna come up against, like, the Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. And are they just gonna be like, what? She never faced off against this. Who's this Ben Affleck guy that you're talking about? I don't know any Ben Affleck. What are you talking about? This is Margot Robbie and Robert Pattinson. They've been this entire time. Who is this Ben Affleck guy that you keep on bringing up? Like, are they gonna do that as well? I don't know. And then it's like, so if they do that, then are they gonna at some point introduce another Joker? Because I highly doubt Leto's coming back, or that they'd even go back to get Leto. Like, at some point, are they gonna introduce another Joker and then have him be with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn? I just don't know. It's so weird. But this whole situation is just weird. Just looking at all the facts, right? Like, what I think they're gonna end up doing is, I think they're just gonna end up having two separate cinematic universes. That's what that if they were to do that. And by the way, this article doesn't say that that this is definitely a thing that is going to happen. It basically just says that Warner Brothers has signed contracts and put in their contracts that, for the actors coming in to play these villains, they basically signed a contract that says that, that would force them to come back for another film, for another sequel or standalone film, if Warner Brothers decides to move forward with something like that. So they're not saying that this is going to happen. It basically just says that Warner Brothers is going to see how this Batman movie does and see if that would be something that they want to move forward with. And with that's also a thing that I don't really like. Like, I don't like Warner Brothers in the past, and for my opinion, one of the reasons why they failed is that they've been very reactionary, right? Like, Batman v Superman comes out, and it's like, and people don't like how serious it is. But the thing is that it's not that people didn't like that it was serious, right? It's that they just didn't think it was a good film, so it's like serious nature. They just thought that it was stupid, right? So then they took that, and then they were like, oh god, no, people don't like how serious it is. Make Suicide Squad funny. Change Suicide Squad to make it more funny. And then they basically got a trailer company to make an edit of Suicide Squad, and we saw how that went. And and then like Warner Brothers and DC, they've just been very, very reactionary, right? And, like, we also saw it with, like, Justice League, right? Like, Zack Snyder was doing his thing, and then when he left, Warner Brothers was like, okay, they basically were like, okay, he's gone. Joss Whedon, can you come in and make it more funny, right? You made that Avengers movie, right? You made that Avengers movie that was really successful. Okay, can you just do that with our movie, right? But not make your own movie, right? Not have it be your own movie. Just come in and make this weird Frankenstein's monster of a movie and make it like the Avengers. Do that. So they've had this very reactionary and style of filmmaking that has not really worked out for them. And that's the thing, like, we've seen them in recent years kind of start to change that, right? After Justice League, they basically got James Wan and they were like, hey, make your Aquaman movie. And then after Aquaman, they, like, Aquaman was this goofy, almost like a children's Saturday morning cartoon of a movie, and, like, I didn't love it, but I can respect that, and I like that they had James Wan have his vision, right? But then like they didn't see the success of Aquaman and go, Shazam's coming up next. Okay, make it more like Aquaman. Do that. No, like Shazam was its own thing. It was like it was it was also lighthearted, but it wasn't necessarily as goofy in my opinion. It was kind of more like I would say like an early 2000s. It had kind of like an early 2000s comic book movie feel, like a Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. And then, and then they came out with Joker, right? And what I'm getting at is that they just let filmmakers make their movies. So it's going to be very worrying to me if they're just going to see how Batman does, and if it's popular, they're going to be like, okay, make a Riddler movie, make a Riddler movie, or make a Penguin movie, please go make a Penguin movie. Oh, people like Catwoman, okay, make a Catwoman movie, hurry. It's like, do what's best for your universe. Don't just rush into these things, And I don't know if that's what they're doing. Maybe they're just waiting to see how this movie turns out, to see if, from a storytelling perspective, there's a reason to make these standalone movies. I don't know. I'm just saying that this whole situation is it's just weird, and I'm interested to see how they handle it. So yeah, this whole situation just really goes to show that, Warner Brothers, they're still working on climbing out of that hole. They've been doing a really good job with their past few films. So, and I mean, obviously, like, I am just every day getting beyond excited for this Matt Reeves Batman movie. Like, I've made a video talking about why we should be excited about it, just because if you look at the cast and you look at the director, you can tell that they're not just trying to make a Batman movie. They are just really focusing on trying to make a fantastic film, right? So I'm not necessarily worried about the movie, but I'm raising an eyebrow with this whole thing of, hey, maybe we'll do a standalone movie from this and let's spin it off into a cinematic universe. Like, I don't know. I'm not necessarily, I'm not raising the alarms just yet, because obviously I'm saying all of this just because they signed in the contract that, these actors would have to appear in more movies if the studio wanted them to, which is pretty standard. I mean, obviously there is the bit about the standalone movies in specific that I'm talking about, but even then, it might just be Warner Brothers covering their bases. Who knows? So, we'll see how this all plays out. What do you think? Like, are you also, like me, kind of weirded out by the idea of there being, like, two cinematic universes, or also weirded out by the notion that, like, they're just gonna, like, plop Robert Pattinson Batman into the DCEU? Even though, like, honestly, like, I don't have a necessarily better idea than those two. Well, obviously my ideal situation would be to just have, like, the Robert Pattinson Batman franchise just be, like, its own thing and not have to be a cinematic universe or be a part of the DCEU. That would be my ideal situation, but if you did want to do more with it, there really isn't a good way to go about it. So I don't necessarily, like I'm not, like, blaming them for wanting to do either of these things, really. But yeah, well, what do you guys think? Is this worrying? Are you not really bothered by it? Just give me your thoughts that I really, 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 truly care and value. Bye.